After the first year of running a food truck, I thought to myself, this is gonna be hard. Honestly, I was almost out of fumes for a hot second. Like, I was just trying to make it a year. That was my goal. I was like, that's a win. If I can make it a year, it doesn't look like I gave up. It looks like maybe, you know, semi-successful, got some good press. I mean, I went to bed one night telling my wife, like, I was done with this, you know? Like, I was gonna sign a paper that terminated my lease for my food truck, and I was like, I'm out. And the next day I woke up and I was like, nah, let's do one more day. You can't really make it with that type of mentality. You know, you gotta be all in. So I basically just went all in.
He's all distracted because of all the other stuff.
Yeah, man, I usually get up, shower, coffee, emails, say hi to Nico, and then go to work. But Wednesdays and Fridays I go to the gym in the morning and then come back, shower, and then I'll stay late at the office till like, you know, 7:30 or 8. And then Fridays, Saturdays is events. I think you might have had enough, babe. I don't know if he wants any more. Are you done? So I started the food truck in 2010. I was a lawyer at the time, right before, and I was pretty much just kind of bored and fed up with my job. I thought, well, if I want to make a change, now's the time. So initially I wanted to open up a restaurant. I quickly realized that probably wasn't going to happen. Mainly because it's just so damn expensive to open a restaurant. You know, you need at least $500,000 of capital. So my sister started telling me about these food trucks in LA. She talked to me about Kogi. And when I saw Kogi, I was like, there was something just super inspiring and raw about what they were trying to do. And I think a lot of that had to do with Roy Choi, but just the fact that they got this brand and this product off with low cost, and people really gravitated towards it. That was kind of like when the green light kind of went on, and we were like, if we're gonna try and get into a restaurant one day, we're gonna start as a food truck.
Alright, so once you get the ticket.
So we had to come up with a business model that made sense. You know, how do we make money off these food trucks? Because the traditional model is broken. It's an owner-operator model where you pull up on the street and the owner's either taking the cash or working the line, and then he pays himself, you know, like he's working a shift. Well, that's not a sustainable model long term, because you will break yourself running all these shifts. In the food truck business, if you're not game to go all in 15 hours a day, 6 days a week, like, get the out.
Okay, we have 2 fish tacos. You build your fries with sriracha mayo, and your drink and water is right below you.
We started getting into catering. You know, we started thinking about maybe we should focus on events, guaranteed dollars, where our labor is set, where we can compress our labor because of volume. When I felt like we were stable after we had built 2 trucks and had a steady stream of revenue, we're like, let's take this to the next level. Let's go into a restaurant. I think there are a lot of challenges facing the restaurant industry right now. One is oversaturation. I think there are just too many restaurants in general. Talent is a problem. I don't necessarily feel like people look at cooking or at being a chef as a career. They want to go from being, you know, a line cook to an executive chef within a couple years. I think that's a problem. And then I think you look at the other issues facing restaurant owners. Rising minimum wage. Does it sound good in theory? Absolutely. Do we want people to get paid more money? Do we want people to get paid a living wage? For sure. Are consumers willing to pay for food that takes into account that living wage? I'm not convinced of that yet. So we've seen some companies, restaurant groups, whatnot, eliminate tipping. That's at the forefront of the restaurant industry, and I'm not sure we've we found out whether that works or not in terms of eliminating tipping and putting an 18 or 20% service fee that's automatically applied to your check. Danny Meyer instituted this at a lot of his restaurants in New York. My mentor, Josh Henderson, has done that at all of his restaurants within the Huxley Wallace Group in Seattle. And what I've seen is that while it does allow the restaurant group to provide insurance and pay the back of the house at a similar level to the front of the house and kind of close that gap, so to speak, I'm not sure consumers understand it. They still feel like the right to tip and the amount to tip should never be taken out of their hands, right? Because if they don't get good service, why should they tip? And I think there's this perception that waiters are disincentivized to give good service if they already have a 20% service charge on the bill. I think it's incredibly difficult to stay sustainable. And I think 40% of that is just grin and bear it. Like, let's just buckle down, watch our costs. I think the other 60% is innovation. And I think in March, we're kind of where we were last year as of right now, if all the contract out stuff books. Next week, we have the staff, we have the capacity, we have the infrastructure to push more events out. We've only got 6 or 7 events out on the book, so I want to make sure that we push as hard as possible. And it can be innovation in terms of your food. It can be innovation in terms of your service style. It can be innovation in terms of your customer experience. And then I think we need to be innovative in terms of how we market our product. It's not good enough to take a Facebook sponsored ad out anymore. That might have been good enough 6 years ago, but now everybody's doing that. So where do we go from here? And I think the ones that figure that out are gonna be most successful. I think the restaurant industry scares me just because of its volatility. We're walking a tightrope all the time. And I think that's what separates the great restaurateurs from the guys that are just so-so, is how far outside the box can you take this? I mean, I think Danny Meyer is a great example of that. He went out of fine dining and went into burgers and fries, comfort food. He realizes where the market's trending, and he realized it before everybody else. I think those are the guys that are gonna be really successful. I think the biggest challenge in all of this is there is no clock off time in hospitality, right? Like Fridays, Saturdays, like typically if you leave your office job, like that's it. You're shutting down your computer and like you're not worrying about it. But in hospitality, like your day is just getting started. I think you can kind of get lost in just the fact that you're constantly operating. So I think for me, the big challenge is kind of letting some of that stuff go at night in order to maintain some form of sanity. I love the action in the restaurant business. I'm a very type A personality. I do get very emotional. If I see something I don't like, if I see us put food out that's not up to my standards, I get pissed off. But I like that sense of feeling alive. You know, talking to customers and going out in the food truck and serving at weddings. And I like the fast-paced, frenetic environment we live in. It's incredibly challenging, and I think it can burn people out. I can't sit here and honestly say it might not burn me out. But for right now, I actually enjoy coming to work, which is saying something, because I used to not be able to say that.